Good mid-afternoon, 4:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, October 2nd, 2023. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this 11th installment of Silver Stackers. So this is Silver Stacking episode number 11. And in today's theme, we're going to look at why I think it's pertinent to buy silver, not gold today. You can own both, but in today's terms, and where we're starting to go on a historical front, I think it's more of a value, as silver today is down over 4.4%, and gold's down just about 0.8 to 1% on the day. I think gold's going to be heading towards that 1,785 range in about a 95% probability, as to where I think silver's got about a 75% chance to head down towards roughly 18 bucks or 1840 area. So we'll see how this plays out. There are stop gaps along the way. Not much for gold, but there's one stop gap around 20 bucks on silver. So we'll take a look at that on the charts today. But I really do believe we have a time right now, especially if you're just starting to get into stacking precious metals. For transparency, I've been stacking since 2017. So I've got some gold, I've got some silver, tiny bit of platinum, a little bit of copper, but I focus on gold and silver right now. My main focus is on silver. The gold-silver ratio is up to 86 plus to 1, which means you get 86 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. And I learned along the years from Peter Schiff and Mike Maloney, especially when it comes to the gold-silver ratio, and how you can take later on, as you see, so this is the gold to silver ratio, the 100-year historical chart. So this interactive chart tracks the current and historical ratio of gold prices to silver prices. Historical data goes back to 1915. So this is about 108 years old. So as you can see, back in the 50s, roughly back in the 50s and 60s, let's go back again. I hit that on accident. So back in the 50s and 60s, as we go down here, the gold-silver ratio was pretty flat. It wasn't until the late 70s into the 80s when you really had this push back up to this 80 and 90 to 1. Then back in 2011, I'll show you on the gold-silver chart, we got down to about 30 to 1, roughly. So that means if you would have bought your gold and silver at 80 to 1, like we're talking about, and the prior pushes up, and then you wanted to get some gold from your silver, you could have took, let's say you bought it at 80 to 1. Well, you take 30 ounces in 2011, for as brief of a moment as that was if you were on the ball, and you could have transferred 30 ounces of your silver and got an ounce of gold. You could have got 2 ounces of gold and still had about 20 ounces of silver left over. So that's why they say if you figure it out and you understand the ratios, some of the bigger time players will say, I buy my gold for half price. That's what they're referring to, if they play the system right. Conversely, how the gold-silver ratio was down to 30 and 20 and 15, that's a great time to buy gold and then start flipping it for silver as it starts going up if that's your desire. But I think it's more pertinent to be flipping silver for gold just because of the weight factor. Yes, gold weighs more than silver, but you need, right now, 86 1-ounce bars or 1-ounce silver rounds to equal 1-ounce bar of gold. So that's 86 times more weight of silver that you're going to have to hold, to where you, on a 1-to-1 ratio, gold might be more, but not on an 86 to 1 ratio. Not even close. So it starts to get heavy. So you try to find ways through it. So this is just my own personal advice of something I studied and what I do now. So that's the gold-silver ratio over the last 100 years. And we'll go into some of these other ratios as time goes on. But right now, this is the important one, and it's pertinent for what we're doing today. And now when we get into the charts for a little bit here, I want to show you what we were talking about on the gold-silver ratio. So on the gold-silver ratio, it's up to 86.4 to 1. It's up 3.09 on the day, or $3.09, up 3.71%. And the gold-silver ratio is breaking out. Make no mistake about it. And the top end up here could be all the way up to about, I believe it was 96 to 1 at the top of this formation. 98.9 to 1. But we do have a couple of areas we could get stopped here. 86.68. We've got 88.94. And then we've got up here, if we can make it all the way through, to 91.84. So I don't really want to show all these levels, but these are the three main levels that could stop us on the way up to that 98.8. So the gold-silver ratio, you know, it's starting to have a little bit of a push here. We got back within the ascending triangle formation. The uptrend started April of 2011. That downtrending resistance, where it's converging, started back in 1997. It's been a long time coming, folks. So eventually it's going to break down or break out, or break up or break down. So where we seen in 2011 what we hinted at, it went down to 31.668 to 1, the gold-silver ratio. So had you have bought it here, let's just put it in perspective, in October of 2008, if you're listening to my advice, you buy it at 80 to 1. Let's just say you bought 80 ounces of silver. You bought 82 of them. You come down here 3 years later and you're like, hey, Tom said I need to buy it 80 to 1. And when it gets to 40 to 1 or lower, I can start switching it out for gold. Now it's sitting at 32 to 1, let's say. So you take 32, we'll say 33 just for the heck of it. So we take 33 bars. No. Because we know it went down under 32. So we take 32 bars of silver. They give us an ounce of gold. Well, remember, we just bought our 82 ounces of silver back in February of 09 or October of 08. So now you get to keep, even though you gave them 32 ounces of silver, you've still got 50 left. But you got an ounce of gold. Right now it's all fine because of the gold-silver ratio, but now that it bounced back up, you've just stolen them silver. You just stole gold. Literally, you just stole gold. And now you're doing it again. It's the rinse-repeat cycle, folks. And eventually, silver will not be weighted this much over gold. It just won't happen. Some could even argue we've started some weird rising channel here. If you start forming it out, and I mean, if you're a speculator, you can certainly speculate it. But I mean, it's a very wide pattern, and if you start speculating that, we've got some problems. Because then the gold-silver ratio, you could see, that's why I'm waiting until this part busts. But as long as it stays in here, we could technically come way back up there. So consider all of this I've said when it comes to stacking silver over gold in certain times in history. It's not that I don't like gold, it's just this time in history suggests, with the ratio, you buy silver and you acquire your gold later. And you will be able to buy it basically for free. And you'll see how it works as we've explained it. Or you understand how it works now. But if you need further understanding, go back in the playlist. As this will be in the Silver Stackers playlist. And I like to do a good 10 to 15 minute in these videos. Some go longer. None have been shorter than 10. And this one will not be an exception. But all 10 previous to this are all in order. 1 to 10. And you can watch the entire series unfold. I stopped doing it for a couple months because of where gold and silver prices were. And I didn't want to give the wrong impression and tell you to buy when it's too high. So I said I'd come back on the downturn. So here we are, and I'm so proud to be back. We only were getting about 300 to 400 views per video. Some got 700 or 800, but on average we got about 450 views per Silver Stacker video. So we'll see what kind of reception we get now. Even if only 200 people watch these videos, I'm still going to do them because I have a lot of appreciation for precious metals and stacking silver and the understanding of what comes with it. So before I leave, I want to go over the gold chart. And we'll see exactly why the silver ratio, the gold-silver ratio is spiking. Well, gold today is down, it was down 1.05%. Hello, thank you very much. Have a good day. And as we talked about, there's a 95% chance to come down to $1,792 an ounce. Well, I haven't talked to you about it, but on the channel I've been talking about it. And if you're interested in this kind of stuff, make sure you come back, even if you don't want to watch the XRP content. I do a midday market report Monday through Friday where I go through everything from the Dow, crude, the 10-year bonds, gold, silver, the ratio. I cover a couple of the commodities. So we cover a lot. So anyhow, I'm looking for continued retracement down to 1792. And then there's a probability of about We could come down farther, but it's a 95% chance we hit that 1792, and we know it's coming down there, so we're just waiting for it to play out. And then if you look at the ratio spiking, that's because silver is falling a lot faster than gold, as is usually the case. Gold's only down 1.06%, as to where silver's down 4.71%, which leaves a gap of around 3.7% roughly. A little bit less, but you get the picture. About 3.6% on the gap. So why is that? Well, silver had a big breakdown. There was a 75% chance not to come here. I said 99% chance to come to $20.34. There's a 75% chance to continue this work down back to $18.07, and then a 25% chance it'll bounce off of here and try to get a resistance or see if we have any kind of support. But that was my prediction when it was still in this formation, and it just happens to be following it beautifully. So anybody who's watching and has an understanding and knows what this means, congratulations, because this will keep you out ahead to understand where your best buy-ins are. It's the ratio right now you're worried about with silver. It's at a good price. Even if it continues the retracement, if you stay on the same philosophy of buying the retracements when it's 80 to 1 or higher, and you get into that routine, like it did in 2011 and like it'll do again in the near future, when that ratio comes down to 30, 35 to 1, you'll be able to return some of this silver for ounces of gold and still keep a lot of your silver. So just consider that. So with that, I think that's good. We tapped into everything on this update of Silver Stackers episode number 11. Make sure you hit that like button, as it will greatly help push this through the analytics. Make sure you subscribe as well if you appreciate this kind of content. And leave in the comments if you've gained any kind of understanding in here, or what you would like to see in the future on a Silver Stackers update. If you want to learn anything, if there's anything that's always intrigued you, I will definitely do my due diligence to put out a fantastic update of knowledge for you to learn. And just as we walk out here, B2 Gold, I've been telling my audience, and I want you to understand as well because you are the audience, there's a 90% chance that B2 Gold comes down to that $2.40. There's a 75% chance we continue down to the bottom of the formation at around $2.22. So what I'm suggesting, and I had to sell out of my B2 Gold, I got my dividend payment and I dipped at 330. Or no, I think I had 308. Barely any profit. But what I'm going to do is I'm looking to put 6 to 10 grand into B2 Gold. Right now it's at a 5.53% dividend. The PE ratio is way too high at 12.14. That's price over earnings, which means this stock is priced 12 times over its actual earnings, which is too high. I know they tell you 26 to 1 is fine. That's just so you'll buy the FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google or Alphabet, formerly known as. And then, yeah, that's just how it works. So I think the PE ratio under 9 is good for a mining stock. I prefer under 6, but I'll start buying at 9. Right now it's at 12.1, and I sold when it was over 14. It doesn't work. Gold, or B2 Gold, the reason I love it is it's expanding more into the silver mines. Some of these new acquisitions turned out more silver than they expected. A lot more record profits in silver, or record amounts of silver harvested. They've mined their record amount of silver in ounces, if you categorize it that way. So even though gold, there's, it's not as valuable right now, and it's making it hard to sell. Silver, they're just acquiring a ton of. So watch the dividend. This is one I have a lot of hope in the future. It's a sleeping giant, but even with all sleeping giants, you want to get the right price. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Stay blessed, everybody, and you have humbled me if just 200 of you watch this.